Today's adventure is going to take us to the White Dove of the Desert. Join us on day 3 of our family staycation. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tommy's Test of Tech and Travel. This is day 3 with the family from out of town, and we're actually going to San Javier del Bac, known as the White Dove of the Desert. This church actually originates back to the 1600s. However, that original location is lost to time, and it was moved up here to its present day location in the late 1700s. Reason being, there was lots of Apache raids back then that would actually devastate the original, not Franciscan, but oh my gosh, the other order of monks. It wasn't until the Franciscans took over in New Spain in 1792, I believe, that this church found its present-day location after some money was borrowed from a local rancher in order to create present-day Javier del Bac. Del Bac in the Hodem language actually means where the water appears, because this was actually a natural water source way back when. But technically, the natural water source was the original location. But enough history. Let's go check out the physical church itself, and we'll talk more about the history as we do it. Walking up on the church is always breathtaking. Just the artisan, just attention to detail, just the crafts, and I'll show you a few things that you don't get on the normal tours when you walk. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Charlie, wait.
So the second tower actually was never completed, and when they did the restoration back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they chose to leave it uncompleted because that was the original way the structure stood. Back at the turn of the century, the entire church itself was actually just riddled with graffiti, falling apart and disheveled. It wasn't until a couple of grants, when it became a National Historic Place, that they started to rebuild it and return it to its former glory. In fact, if I remember correctly, all these original pokeouts that you see from the monks when they were here are all the original wood just restored. Yeah. First time entering the church. Just look at the detail, it's so gorgeous. Father Eusebio Kino, who was pretty much basically started every mission all the way from southern Sonora down in Mexico, all the way up into San Francisco. In fact, if you ever heard of the Juan Bautista de Anza auto route, basically he followed the original De Anza trail in order to do that. Father Kino is actually buried in Magdalena, Mexico, and every year there's an amazing procession where they walk from Magdalena essentially to the border of the United States to remember Father Kino. I truly love that this is the original pulpit from the 1790s. If you were standing up there and talking to the church, presumably all in Latin at the time, you could hear it all the way to the back of the church with barely a whisper. And just look at the detail on all this beautiful hand-painted artwork, all done by the indigenous people in this area. But more importantly, look how high it goes. Like today we have scaffolding and safety procedures. Literally just building this was risking their lives, and they did it just out of the glory and respect of the art itself. And I have to tell you, just from a family standpoint, I'm so happy and excited I get to share this with my family who has never seen it before. Well, my sister has, but my brother-in-law and nephew never have. So now we're even outside, and the architecture outside is just as beautiful as inside. The detail to the sconces on the wall, and here's one of the points of prayer too, and here's one of the many bells that was rang to call people from all around to Mass. Light a candle for your loved ones, to the Virgin Mary. So one of the coolest features of the church that I've always absolutely loved, and I share with everyone, is I hear conflicting versions of the story. It goes back to a traditional indigenous myth. And here, let me show y'all right now. I can point to it correctly. I can't see. Right about there, you'll see there's little animals hiding in the little spirals. Those are actually cats. And on the inside, that's actually dogs coming after them. And if y'all will follow me right over here. This one. You'll notice right here is a snake. Okay. And then on the back side, I don't know how well you can see it in the dark, is a mouse that's carved into it, or it's part of it. The reason being is, according to Hodem myth, when the dog catches the cat catches the rat, and the snake catches the rat, the world will come to an end. So if you ever encase them in stone and bronze and brass, the world will never end, thus assuring our existence for all times. Well, you were just asking. Yes, this is almost all original to the actual church itself in the late 17, and even like 1800s and stuff was replaced. Like these hinges we were just looking at, you thought was really cool. These were actually wood. And we're doing some cool restoration right now, always keeping it up. Just the fact that sat out here for almost 100 years untouched, undisturbed before we actually started the restoration again. Mission San Javier del Bac was founded by the Jesuit missionary. That's the word I was trying to remember earlier. Jesuit. Jesuit missionary Father Eusebio Kino in 1692. The present church was built under the direction of the Franciscans. Construction began in 1783 and was completed in 1797. And that's the present one we're at currently. Beyond the just history of the church, just the views is beautiful, and the architecture, and you can just sit here all day and stare. But it's really hot, so I don't recommend sitting here just all day. And when you're at the church, one thing you have to do, is pretty much a non-negotiable, is you have to hike up the hill here and check it out. Every year they do the 12 stages of the cross procession, and it ends up on that hill itself. So let's head that way. Just a little bit of hiking.
Max is dying.
The lions standing guard. One of the better views of outer Tucson, all the way to the church itself. A little bit of a climb, but we're here, we made it. Like I said, it's a holy place. You come here to pray and pay your respects. This has always been one of my absolute favorite places in the entire world, let alone in Tucson. I do want to do an in-depth video out here at some point. Today was just more to show my family what it looks like and to show them what it is to come out to a mission. So they come from, they have missions as well, because like I said, Kino went all the way up, and so did Danza, all the way up to the San Francisco area. And that's about where they're from. But nothing like this. Nothing like this. Hey honey, what's your favorite part about the church and the mission?
It's pretty.
Yeah. This is one of our first dates, you and I.
I know.
We came out here, we almost named our kid Carlos Xavier. And then you realized I was trying to name him Charles Xavier, and you said no.
Yep.
No fun. And that's actually where our video stops. We didn't record an outro because I started having a ton of audio problems that I couldn't really figure out in the moment. I think it was due to the heat. We were in excess of 100 degrees out there that day, and the weather out here in the desert is no joke. And like I said, that was just a quick glimpse at San Javier del Bac. I want to do a more in-depth video later, but this was more going with my sister, my brother-in-law, and my nephew, because this is my sister's favorite place when she visited, and she wanted to make sure she saw it. Well, thanks for taking another ride with us. Let's take another ride again soon. I appreciate you guys checking us out. And if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe down below. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and we're also on Threads and TikTok now. So follow along there, and hopefully we'll see you with the next videos. Bye-bye, everybody.